My mom died when I was 19 years old. I remember her being sickly as a child. I remember as a teenager sleeping with her in her hospital bed. She had emphysema. I didn't know she also had breast cancer until she was dying. She passed away when I was 19. I was the youngest in my family, but I was the strongest. I had to handle everything when she died. The funeral, our home. It made me grow up quickly. I didn't grieve much, but I guess I was born to be strong. It's been 31 years since my mom died. I've had a lifetime of experiences since then. But I still feel like she's the angel on my shoulder, always watching over me. I was lost for a year after she died. My stepfather introduced my sister and I to drugs. My sister spiraled out of control, but I was very strong-willed. I decided not to do them. I had my 2 sons, and that grounded me. I began to focus on school. I wanted to make my mom proud. I enrolled in an education program. Neither my sister or my brother had completed college, but I kept going. I had a teacher named Ms. Atkinson, and she saw something within me. One day after class, she asked me to stay behind and grade papers for her accounting class. Then she had me come to her class. I ended up getting 2 master's degrees, an MBA, and a degree in project management. I'll never forget Ms. Atkinson, but I know it wasn't just her looking out for me. It was my mom too, the angel looking over my shoulder. Every accomplishment I have, I did knowing that my mom was there watching over me. When I was 9 years old, I was molested. During my life, I've been in a series of abusive relationships. The memories are burned in my head. In my psych class, we were talking about symptoms of trauma. All of a sudden, my memory started playing like a movie in my head. The class ended, but I didn't notice. I just sat there as my memories played in front of my face. When I was a kid, I didn't fight, but as an adult, I've become more aggressive in how I communicate. I see how my trauma has built me. In 2017, I met my ex-husband fighting over a parking spot. He told me he wanted to take me to dinner. No, you don't, I told him. You just want my parking spot. We started texting and talking on the phone. We were staying up until 4 or 5 a.m. and meeting up on weekends. We got married after 6 months. 6 weeks later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I wish my husband had been able to do more for me, to take care of me, but he was just as scared as I was. I understand now that people in your life will leave you. Only God won't leave you. When I got sick, our marriage turned upside down. I was trying to recover from cancer, working full-time, and trying to maintain our relationship. That's when we committed our crime. I was working all the time to keep our family afloat, and I often brought my work home with me. I brought checks home. He came up with the idea, but I was part of the execution. There was so much going on then. I was recovering from cancer. I was working so much. It almost seemed like it took something completely wrong to find out our inner struggles that needed to be addressed. My husband and I were both diagnosed with mental illnesses after the crime. We were trying to help each other, but how could we? We couldn't help ourselves. In prison, there's mildew everywhere. The bed frames are broken, and so we have metal piercing through when we sleep. We need to put a piece of cardboard on top of it. Unlike some other prisons, the food is edible, but they were serving spoiled milk the other day. I don't think we deserve to be treated like animals like we are here. We're still human beings. We just made bad decisions. My sons are grown, but my incarceration still affects them. I see it in my oldest son when we talk on the phone. He has so much more anxiety. My youngest son writes me every day. Before I got incarcerated, I was taking care of everyone. My husband, my dog, my grandmother, my father. I've learned since then to take care of myself. I've learned to be more patient, to pick my battles, and to always have faith in a higher being. When I leave prison, I want to carve out a path for other formerly incarcerated women. I'm going to figure out what they need to do to get back on their feet. I want to find them stable housing and connect them to other organizations where they can find employment. I'll make sure that they have clothes to wear to their interviews, and I'll figure out how to help with childcare too. I love to cook, and I'm thinking about opening a restaurant or maybe even a food truck where I can employ some women. I know I'm going back to a home, which is different from a lot of other women in prison. A lot of women have lost everything. They're homeless. The only clothes they have are the ones that they were wearing when they got arrested. They've been separated from their children and from their families. There is so much that could be an issue for them when they're starting over. I know you can't change people's behavior, but you can inspire them. If someone inspires you, then you take that feeling with you all day. This is the story of Cherell, a woman incarcerated at FCI Danbury.